What's happening, legends? Welcome back to the Becoming Reborn podcast. Today, we're going to talk about, would you talk to your kid like that? Now, you might be thinking, what am I talking about, Patrick?
You're very good at acting.
Yeah, thanks, Pat.
The eyebrows, the pause.
The pause, you like pause?
Yeah. Didn't talk too fast.
Yeah,
that can happen.
Thank you. Appreciate it. We're not talking about, parenting. We're actually talking about how you speak to yourself, the language you use to communicate within, so to speak.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in this. When you came up with this topic, Travis, it's something that I think about a lot, self-talk, both myself and others, and trying to think about what others' self-talk could be and what it would be better if it was.
Yeah, and we're going to go through different levels of it too. So we're going to talk about it, like you just kind of said, then others that are probably, I'm assuming you're talking about like our members and our friends and family and so on. But then also how do the language you speak to your kids impact how they speak to themselves?
Yes.
Which is huge. And then as business owners or as in staff, like how they speak to themselves also. So we're gonna unpack those three different topics around the one area. Okay.
Can I start with a line?
Yeah, I'd love for you to start with a line.
Because this wasn't prepped, but it's a line that I remember reading, and I've focused now on it because of this. And it goes, the one person that is a constant in your life and will be there no matter who comes and goes is yourself. Why is it that so many people talk to themselves worse than they would talk to others?
Yeah.
And it's so true.
The things that you say to yourself, you would never say to a loved one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. If you fail at something, often what are the initial thoughts that we have? Like, oh, you're so stupid, or why did you do that? Like, how could you stuff that up, or something like that? And they're just like instant reactions. You would never say that to a friend if they've failed at something. You'd catch yourself, and you'd be disgusted if you said that to yourself. To others, sorry. Why would you say that to yourself when you are the most important person in your own life?
So true, Patrick. So true. So we're going to deep dive into that. Now, starting with the premise of this is the language that you speak to yourself. It's the story that you end up believing, right? So we want people to listen to this and then be able to communicate with themselves better to help them have better outcomes as well. And not only for themselves, for those around them, but if you're a parent out there as well, like talking to your kids is really important as well, because that's where a lot of our beliefs stem from is when we're kids, and that will go all the way through our life. All right. So Patrick, first question, what's the meanest thing you catch yourself thinking?
Oh,
straight into it.
Well, I'd like to think that I've got pretty good self-talk and self-confidence, so I don't think this is going to be that bad, but just like kicking myself for stuffing something up or missing something or making an error of something that I'm normally much better at. Again, it's pretty trivial, but like I find myself saying, like, come on, Pat, you're so much better than that. Something like that.
Yeah.
Very, not very extreme at all, but it's because this is often forefront of mind, my self-talk and how I speak to myself.
Yeah, mine's pretty much the same.
Yeah.
I think one of my skill sets is that I've developed over many years of mistakes is being this next part reminds me of James Maloney.
Yep.
You hear about a lot with James Maloney.
I know where you're going.
You'd probably be able to, I'm looking at new right now. I remember he seeing a story about he throws an intercept. They get, and it's a real crucial part of the game. Throws an intercept. The other team goes on to score the try. And then everyone goes in the huddle, which you always do after a try. And then he comes in and just starts spraying everyone else for what they did. And what I'm getting at is like he has that ability to quickly just like flush it and then move on to the next thing.
And the follow-on from that story is
he goes on and
the next set they got in good ball, he threw the exact same pass to the same person that they took the intercept off, and his team ran away with it and scored. And so many people would have been so fearful of the error that they made.
Yeah, you hit
he saw the opportunity again. They wouldn't have thrown it.
Yeah, and I think I've developed that in particular with business. I've developed that like when things happen, you kind of roll with the punches now, and you don't have those bad thoughts because you just know, all right, well, this is just another error. Just got to work through it.
Yep.
in sport, I catch myself a lot getting frustrated. It's in particular now.
Yep.
More so now than ever, where like I feel like my mind is cashing checks that my body can't deliver at the moment, and that's where you get frustrated. I find that in sport, the language that I got to use is a little bit better, but where I've always had a very positive mindset is when I'm training. Whenever I'm training, I always have this belief in that that no matter how long the session goes, that I'll always get better and better. And I literally tell myself this, and I will be like, the Wednesday session was the perfect example because I knew that we had a team that was better for endurance, and the further it went, it was going to be better for our team. But in myself, that's what I'd always tell myself. So it's knowing like what to say to yourself when you need to hear it most, but also knowing what not to say as well.
Tell me, when you're training and you have some of that self-talk, like a lot of what you just mentioned then is like, you get better the longer you go.
Yeah.
Is yours as cheesy as mine? There's some of the, like if I'm doing weights, like some of the things that I say to myself, and I've never said them out loud, are so cringy.
Possibly.
You're an animal.
Yeah.
Like, you can do this. You are the strongest person in this room. Like, I say that shit to myself.
Yeah.
All the time. Like, most days of the week. I'm serious.
I know you are.
I did, like, I was doing weights
I know you're
literally on
serious.
Wednesday afternoon. We're recording this Friday with
I am an
with
animal.
my 10-year-old son. We were doing chin-ups, and he was doing his set of 5, and I was doing a set of 10, and I was like, you are incredible. Like I was saying to myself, comparing myself to my 10-year-old son.
Did you, I know you're saying you said this in your head, but did you also verbalize this out loud?
I have. No, not with my son. I don't want it to sound like I'm talking down on him. But a perfect example is 100 for Harper. When we've done that.
Yeah.
The last one that we did together, and it was like, I was saying it out loud as well, like, you're the most powerful person in this entire event. This part of this event right now is what you're here for. Let's go. Win it for your team. Like, I was saying that out loud, and you were hearing that, and you were lapping all of it up.
Yeah.
And you were saying it back to me too. Didn't need it, but loved it.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
Yeah. Egos just bouncing off
So
each other.
to be honest, we're probably not the right people to talk about the negative self-talk, because we are both naturally positive and confident people. And that isn't a mistake or like an accident. That's something that we've developed. We were both brought up very well by our parents so that we had a lot of self-belief and confidence. So it was designed that way. And we've also worked on it ourselves.
Yeah. It comes from reps. It comes from reps of like getting in the trenches and then talking to yourself in those moments and then having that win and then doing it again and again. And then there's moments where it doesn't happen, but like being able to kind of shrug those off and then focusing on the win. It reminds you of David Goggins' book where he talks about when you're in the trenches and he talks about reaching in the cookie jar. Do you remember that?
Yep.
And the analogy is, and I think it's because he was a fat guy previously to this, so he uses this analogy like whenever he'd feel discomfort within himself, he'd go and eat cookies. So when he was on these runs, he would reach into the metaphorical cookie jar and he'd be reaching on and thinking about positive moments. And I actually use it with I used it with both my sons in the Southern Surf, but I previously used it with Ace in the last Southern Surf. But we get to those parts later. But that's where you want to try to get yourself to the point where you reach in and you find, things where you've achieved them before to give you the belief that you can then achieve whatever it is that you're trying to achieve in that moment as well. All right, now we're going to go into the gym, Paddy, and we're going to try our best here to go within the brains of our members. Now, when you when you think of people thinking things like I'm unfit, I'm weak, I'll never look like that, it kills them before the warm up even starts. Now, what advice would you give these people that are in the gym specifically on how they could speak better to themselves?
Comparison's a thief of joy.
That's the one.
A lot of people that do have these thoughts and say these things are comparing themselves to others. And it's why I think social media can be so powerful for positive and for negative. And unfortunately, what we're harping on here is the negative around it, is that you're seeing everyone else's highlight reel and people that are airbrushing their photos and potentially getting on drugs to make themselves look better, and you're comparing your average to their best. And then even when you're in the gym, you see other people's ability to do things and you just think, oh, I'm wasting my time. I'm so unfit. I'm shit. Compare you to you. You should not look at that training session or anything involved in the gym of, oh, I'm not as good as some other person here. You should always look at that as, I'm getting better. Me doing this workout or this exercise or this rep of this set is making me a better person physically and mentally. I think that's what you need to be focusing on instead of what I can't do.
Yeah.
Because the body follows what the mind says, whether it's can or can't. Can I give you a perfect example, a little story? An NRL player, he was a winger, he played for the Roosters and Bulldogs. His name was Sam Perrott. You might remember him.
I do remember
him. Good winger, Kiwi fella. He had a real problem. It was probably 15, 20 years ago he was playing. He had a problem under the high ball, and it's a big part of his game. He would often drop a bomb when it got put up to him. I think it was when he was at the Dogs, they got a sports psychologist to come and speak to him. And back then it was a bit like, what do I need this shit for? Like, a lot of the thought around football was that, you know, sports psychologist isn't going to be able to help. He had one session with Sam Perrott, and he sat down and the session went for 3 minutes. He sat down and said to Sam Perrott, so Sam, when a bomb goes up, what's going through your mind? What do you think was going through his mind, Travis?
Don't drop it, don't drop it, don't drop it.
And he would drop it. And literally what he said to him was, next time a bomb goes up, all I want you to think of is catch it, catch it, catch it, catch it. The next game, didn't drop a bomb, didn't need another appointment with the sports psychologist, problem solved. That one shift in his mentality. Because your body, it's like your mind doesn't understand the word don't. It just focuses on the rest of it. So whether you're saying do this or don't do this, it ignores that part and it just focuses on what the action is.
That is also in the book Law of Attraction, The Secret.
Is it?
Yeah, it talks about haven't you ever read the Secret? The Secret. Oh, it's actually not a great read. It's basically, I'll summarize the book, and many people have read it before. It's about the law of attraction, and what you say to yourself and out loud, you bring to yourself, whether that's positive or negative. And it talks about that the universe, so to speak, can't differentiate between the do's and don'ts. It only hears, like what you're saying then, either catch it or drop it. It doesn't hear either don't catch it or don't drop it.
I haven't read the book, but I think we've spoken about this. That's what I've gotten it from you. Well done.
Yeah. So law of attraction, it's basically like you either thinking you're going to do something and then manifesting into reality, whether that's good or bad. And this is basically what we're talking about right now. Like you can manifest, your future into reality, both positively and negatively. And I've done both.
Yep.
I've done both, and I know what where my headspace and the type of language I was speaking when things went bad, and I know what my headspace has been like when things have gone good as well, and what I was telling myself then. So it's very important. Like not only we're talking about, we started on the gym, we kind of went down a tangent, but it's very important that we learn to be able to speak to ourselves in the appropriate manner, because it literally dictates your future as well.
Yep.
All right. So as a parent, like even talking to yourself to start with, how I'm a bad dad, I'm failing the kids, like saying things like that, that's only going to negatively manifest. and just keep pushing you down. We all have moments as parents,
of course.
Like, my goodness, like you have moments, and I look back at some of my moments and you just like, what was that? What just happened then? What did I just do? But having the ability to just, all right, that happened. Understand what you've done wrong, but then don't continually on repeat push yourself down there.
And provided that, one thing that I can always fall back on, because yes, I have moments as well where you think that's a bad parenting moment, but I can always rest easy knowing that my number one goal in life is to be the best parent possible for my kids. And every action that I take is targeted towards that goal. So I can go to bed at night going, no matter how bad I've done, like I'm trying my best and I'm doing everything that I can positively. And then that just fills me just with a lot more calm.
This is kind of hit between the eyes with a few dads and mums out there, but when you start talking to yourself like that in a negative way, like really pushing yourself down, ask yourself this question, like I did at the start, like, would you talk to your kids like that? Would you be saying what you're saying to yourself right now? Would you be saying that to your kid? But more so, would you want your kid saying that about themselves? And then that's when you can kind of like really hit you between your eyes and take a step back and think, well, if I didn't want my kid to say it to themselves, why am I saying it to myself?
Can I play devil's advocate for a second, Travis?
Love to.
Because I reckon 95% of the time that's incredibly important, what you just mentioned there. But is there a time we need to hear that negative talk? Is there to kind of snap you out of something of like someone being told, you know what? You're not being the best dad right now. Like you actually need to lift.
Oh yeah,
and you need to do more. You know, like so that negative talk to yourself.
I don't think that's negative.
Maybe that needs to happen every now and then. Like, but I'm talking about like, all right, look in the mirror. Like you've been a shit dad. You did this. That was shit. You did this. You're prioritizing this. That's shit. Like every now and then, I'd like to think I don't, but every now and then, you might need a wake up call.
Yeah.
In all facets, like you might go to the gym, right? Every day, 6 days a week, and just go through the motions and tell yourself, you're doing so well. Like, you're so strong. You're doing all this shit. Or really, like, you're half-assing it every day.
Yeah.
You might need that wake-up call of, you know what? Maybe you're not doing so well. Maybe you do need to kick up the ass.
You got to be honest with yourself, don't you?
Yeah. But provided that isn't what you're telling yourself every day, and you know what? Not many of us have that friend or close person that will be upfront and actually give you the cold, hard truth if you need to hear it sometimes.
So we're doing a bit of a workshop like live right now.
Yeah.
But where do our listeners out there draw the line, Paddy? Where's the balance? Do you know what I mean? Like
I'd definitely much prefer someone erring on the side of positivity. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I mean, it might be, you know what? We speak about this a lot, how happy or how happy we are with our relationship. I think everyone needs that one person in their life that can actually call them out on their bullshit every now and then, right? But if we're picking one side or the other, please go positive.
That's true.
All the time.
That's true. Back to the parenting side of things, Paddy, is where you've got to be very careful of like how you speak to yourself, but also how you speak to your kids.
Big one.
Because how you speak to your kids is how that is their inner dialogue.
Inner dialogue, yep.
Is that good?
Yeah, that was really
Thanks,
good. You used my line there and I loved it.
Yeah.
I remember reading somewhere, and whether this is true or not, I actually don't care because of the positive impact it's had on my life. A line I read was, the words that a parent says to their child before the age of 10 becomes their future inner dialogue. Meaning, when they are a teenager, when they are an adult, that is how they are going to speak to themselves, how their authority figure, and the parent is the main authority figure before the age of 10, spoke to them in the formative years of their brain's development. And how many people do we see, Trav, in the gym, whether they're members or even employees, where we just want to help them, but it's like they just have this roadblock in front of them. They want to help themselves, but they'll often self-sabotage for whatever reason. And it's like, it's very hard for us to unpack and understand because we had such good upbringings. And it's like, what would life have been like if we didn't have that and our inner dialogue is completely flipped from how it is with us today? It'd be so hard.
Completely different, right?
And people that might not have a father figure in their life through their childhood. Like I often think how grateful I am for having a father around, especially the way that we were brought up, but what it might have been like on the other side of the fence. How much does what would seem to be an innocuous thing like that actually have an impact on your inner dialogue as an adult, right?
Yeah, of course. So for the parents out there right now, Patty, what advice can you give them when you're speaking to your kids to help them with the inner dialogue when they're older?
Is never put a ceiling above your kids. Your talk should always be, and I love how much I hear you talk about the way your dad spoke to you as a kid and it seems so like cheesy and overused, but you can do anything. You can do anything you put your mind to, like believe in yourself. Because a perfect example, right, is my son. When I remember Mason when I brought him into the gym once and we were doing high rocks training and there was 180 kilos on top of the sled. So it was 220 kilos total. And I was pushing it up and struggling. And Mason comes over and goes, Daddy, because he had just had an empty sled. He goes, Daddy, can I push that one too? And instantly, my instant reply was, mate, she can't do that. And then I caught myself and went, far out. That is not the line to say to your kid. Now, I was right. He tried. He couldn't do it. But hearing that is the worst thing, like for someone of that age, even though there was no chance he was pushing that sled. Like I hated the fact that I said that to him because I immediately put a ceiling straight above him. I said, you can't go any higher than that. He can do that if he tries. And I want him to think, oh, if I bust my ass training for doing this, I can do it because I can do anything.
That's where your intelligence gives you your own ceiling as well, because you're so logical and you understand things so well, quickly.
And you're the dreamer.
Yeah, you can go straight away. I know what's reality and and you don't even bother. Whereas I'm always the opposite.
Yeah,
I always kind of go, no matter what, I can figure it out.
But it's why we work well together.
Yeah.
But I'm getting so much better, aren't I, Travis?
Yeah.
Remember we did that vision day and it was like,
don't
worry about the how, just worry about the what.
Yeah.
And I stopped worrying about the how.
Yeah, he was so
it's
good.
It's like dealing with a computer. You just give it simple instructions and I can follow them.
Yeah, you are. I live it like a
I'm
computer.
so proud of myself.
Yeah, I think when it comes to like your kids, like I say to my kids all the time, I hate the C word.
Yep.
And it's not.
CAN''T.
That's the one, Patrick. Whenever my kids say it, and like I don't even listen to what they're actually saying. As soon as I hear that word, I stop them straight away and say like, no, you can achieve anything you want as long as you're willing to put the time and the effort into it. Whatever you want to achieve, doesn't matter. I catch myself saying that all the time. Yeah. And like it's ingrained in my boys already. Like they always talk about how they back themselves. Now, whether that is coming to fruition yet is a different story, but that is the talk that they're telling themselves at the moment. And we had that moment on Sunday. That was the first time Jet's ever run Souther to Surf. And it's the fourth time technically that Ace has done it, but he only ran it last year properly where he ran. We only stopped once last year for like, I don't know, 30 seconds. And this year was different because he was going with Jet, and those two are so competitive with each other. It's the only person that Jet's actually competitive with. I was so nervous going into it, not because of like what time we're going to do, but being able to manage both boys. They're so different. But I was so proud of them because they went through the whole thing. Not one of them complained the whole way. The biggest complaint, I suppose, that you could say was at 2 kilometers, Ace told me they had a stitch. I said, unfortunately, brother, there's nothing you can do for a stitch other than run it out. And just bite. Yeah,
I'm gritting my teeth.
I said, bro, just bite.
I can see his face.
Yeah, it was horrible. The poor thing. You just got to bite down your mouth guard and we're just got to get it done. I'm surprised he didn't say back to me, I don't have a mouth guard in, but he didn't. And then Jet with 2 kilometers to go, so adorable, looks up at me and we're coming around at Northies and he goes, Dad, I'm feeling a little bit sick. He's so cute.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, I'm super proud of them. And it was a really cool moment because you know, the talk that you and I have within ourselves in moments. I got to have that moment with both of them, talking them through. Every hill was our challenge. I said we don't stop on hills. That's it. That's our number one rule. We don't stop on hills, and talking them through that, and like giving them, you know, the motivation and the belief that they could get through it. Was really good because I can see them now later on. Like I can't just do it once and then I'm like, oh, they're sweet now for the rest of life. Like I've got to continue this on for the rest of their life as well, and to continue on having that belief. But it was the first moment where I've ever had both of them doing that at the same time. And it was a really special moment because I feel both of them will look back on that and be able to
That's
draw.
their evidence.
Yeah, to draw on it. Like I was talking about the cookie jar.
Yep.
That is an example. So like in the Southern to Surf, I do it with Ace about his footy tries. Like, tell me about your best 3 footy tries that you scored this year. And it takes his mind away from it. And then I do the same. I was doing the same thing with Jet. And I go to Jet, tell me about the best goals you've ever scored. He goes, I'm not very good at scoring goals, Dad. And then he's like, but I do set a lot of them up. I'm like, oh, tell me about that, bro. So we were doing that. And I had this thing as well where Ace accidentally like grabbed my hand. I thought he wanted to hold my hand. This was early on. And then I thought, oh, bro, do you want to hold my hand?
Oh, I love this.
And he goes, oh, yes, please. And I seen he was hurt. And I said, every time you're struggling, you grab my hand, I'll give you my power. I'll give you my energy. And it sounds so cheesy. But I did it. I seen his little face light up. And then I probably did that 4 or 5 times throughout the Southern Surf with AC. And then on that last one, I'm feeling a little bit sick from Jetty. He then like asked to hold my hand a couple of times. And that was really cool. That was really cool. So having those conversations out loud with my kids in those moments of hard times is hopefully going to be the start of them being able to draw in those moments and also use the same communication that I use with them. And trust me, guys, I don't want to repeat it here, but it was extremely arrogant about how good they were. But I want them to believe that about themselves. Yeah. I want them to believe that they are better. And I say that like without, like that's just
you understand how bad that sounds to some, but
that's what I want my kids to believe.
And do you know what?
Yeah.
I have learnt this from you and push it more onto my kids because of how I see you do it.
Yeah.
And you know what? Yes, it can come across as an arrogant move, a wanker move, but I'm okay with that. I would much rather my kids grow up confident, potentially with what other people would see as arrogance than my kids not having confidence or self-belief.
Agreed.
I would much rather tip to that side of the scale. Feel it's a lot easier to bring someone down a peg who is overconfident as opposed to build someone up once they have gotten to an age where, if there's years and years of a lack of confidence, it's like no matter which way you go in terms of you doing things, believing you can do something and you actually getting it done, like we spoke about, that's like your stack of proof that you can draw on later. It's the same thing the other way. If you attempt things and fail and you kind of kick yourself down, I can't do this or I can't do hard things, that can also manifest itself into happening more and more often. So I'd much rather have someone a bit too high that has to get pulled back. Someone like yourself, Travis.
Yeah, often. And I've said it, I don't think Jet's going to have a problem with being overconfident, but Ace definitely will. And life's going to humble him. And it's just going to be, I've had it many times and I'll have it many times again. Again, we would both rather be confident and then we have to be pulled down rather than the other way. I think the other way is much harder. All right, pivot. Now we're going to talk about business. Now in business, I know I suffered from this a lot, especially in the early stages of Reborn. It's that imposter syndrome. Mm-hmm. You have that feeling of like, well, I know I did. I had that feeling of like, do I really deserve to be here? Like, should I really be telling these people what to do? Like, should my staff really be listening to myself? Like, they're the types of things that you will be telling yourself, or I was telling myself as a leader at the start. I think that, again, going back to the reps, it does go away. But I think that's what a lot of people struggle with. Did you ever have, I know you're a super confident guy, but when you started stepping into a leadership role, did you ever have those kind of thoughts?
Yeah.
Those doubts?
Yeah. Especially when I've had times where I haven't led well. You've had a few conversations with some staff members and then you have to come back and have a fun conversation with me. And just because I was just completely blind to it and I'm like,
but it's his.
Yes. But it's like you being aware of those things, of what you do or don't do can definitely help you in the future. So probably not as much as most, I'd say, the imposter syndrome thing, but it definitely has happened. But again, it's kind of like what we have spoken about before is like you are where you are for a reason and you've got an undeniable stack of proof behind you as to why you should be there.
Yeah, it's fucking hard at the start though.
Yeah.
I remember like the start there. Like you do have somewhat of the reps on the ball, but it feels very minuscule compared to like going back to the comparison, right?
Yes.
You're comparing yourself to all these other
Yeah.
businesses.
Yeah.
I think, but once you get out of your own way in that sense of just doubting yourself more than anything, the business then naturally will start to grow around you as well. And when you believe in yourself, that belief then stems off to everyone else.
I think looking back now, one reason why we potentially have had a bit of the imposter syndrome is because it's one thing that we haven't been good at. And I actually remember us having this conversation and saying we're going to be better at it. And now thinking about it, we certainly haven't been, is celebrating our wins. Because we're often like, we've got a goal. We need to hit this amount of whatever it is, this amount of, say, gym members, and we hit that goal. Awesome. Let's go to the next one. Awesome. Let's go to the next one. And it's always shooting. Although now that I think about it, we do our celebrations when we hit certain milestones. So maybe we are getting better at it.
We just haven't hit one in a while.
Yeah. But early on, like we used to never celebrate our milestones, and it's because we were sweet with it. And I remember us having this conversation. Neither of us felt like we needed to pat ourselves on the back. It's like, oh, yeah, awesome, we got there, but let's go there, let's go there, let's go there. Like the second we rest on our laurels, like we're going backwards, like let's keep pushing. But then we kind of had a thought about it and went, hang on, we've got a team of 12 now. Not everyone is like us. They actually probably need that celebration more than us.
Was it the start of the year we went to Hurricanes at the end of the year? And then we had like two back to back.
Yeah, we went bang.
You went whack whack. We can't wait for the surfing one. That's gonna be fun as.
Break will love it.
All right. So now action steps, Paddy. So starting with like the gym goer, like if you could give any advice to those people that are in the gym and they're comparing to others like you're talking about, just like a one-liner of how they could be better.
Focus on what you're doing and you see improvement in yourself. So find something that you can test.
Yeah.
It might be like how many bench press reps you can get at 60 kilos, whatever it is you're training at. If it's a running thing, time yourself doing a 5K run so that every week or every month you can retest back to that and actually see the level of improvement that you're getting and focus on that part. Don't focus on the fact that old mate can run a sub 20 minute 5K and I'm here running 28 minutes. Look at your 28 minutes and go, I used to run 31 minutes and now I'm doing 28 minutes. How good.
Yeah.
I've done it with myself with swimming. I'm not a good swimmer. I'm not an efficient swimmer and it's very difficult for me. And what I did was I timed how long it took me to do a K and it was like 27 minutes. And then I was like, the next week I went, all I got to do is beat that. Mind you, I'm getting lapped by 70-year-old ladies that are cruising past me. But if I dwelled on that, I'm a shit swimmer. But if I got 26 minutes this week and I got 27 last week, how good's that?
That's good reps.
That gives you confidence.
Love that. Well, I want to be as well focus on like focus on the other wins as well, like the attendances that like you're rocking up as well.
Yeah.
If you're someone that is only just beginning and you're getting up and you're still getting to the gym, even on those days that you don't want to, in particular right now, it's the middle of winter. Today was the coldest morning of the year, didn't you say?
That is correct. Yes. You're showing up.
Yeah, you're still showing up. So like even if you're struggling in some sessions, be like, well, go if you're going to compare yourself to someone, compare yourself to what you were the year before, and if you weren't coming to the gym, like focus on those positives as well.
When I've spoken to members about what their goals are, often people will have huge goals and difficult to achieve goals and often things that aren't always in their control. And what I always try and shift someone to, instead of having an outcome goal, have a habit-based goal.
Yeah, big
So
fan.
my goal for the next 2 months is to turn up to the gym 4 times a week. That's it. You could have had a shit night's sleep, only got 3 or 4 hours sleep and turn up and train like a busted ass. But you turned up. You're not worried about how fast you went for a run on that day because you felt like shit. You turning up 4 days a week is going to make you significantly better than what you were at the start. So focus on something in your control that is a habit that is relatively easy to achieve. It is more about consistency.
That's fantastic. All right, now as a parent, Patrick, what tips have you got for the parents of how they should speak to themselves?
Themselves?
Yeah, themselves.
That's a hard one because I think it depends. Like there are definitely parents out there that might not focus on their parenting as much as they should. So maybe the advice there is take a step back in your life and look at your priorities. Like there's a lot of people out there, and I've been guilty of this at times, that are a lot more focused on their work as the priority and kind of have left the family part to the side, where it's like whatever work that you've got on a Friday arvo, like it's still going to be there Monday. You can still get that done, but there's certain opportunities in your family that might not be repeated, you know?
Yeah. I think when you're talking to yourself negatively, I think go back to the question that we asked right at the start. Like, would you want your kids talking to themselves like this,
Yeah.
or would you talk to your kids like this? Focus on I think the positive. I'll always try to like see what you're doing as a parent and where you can improve, obviously, but don't just be always so hard, because you can as a parent constantly be like, oh, for us, I think for us in particular, like we want to be the best parent we possibly can be, so we do put it on a massive pedestal, but just always keeping that positive mindset around your kids, because even if you don't realize it, what you're thinking and you're putting out there, they're picking up as well. And then the last one, Patty, about the people that are in a leadership role.
Mm-hmm.
How should they be talking to themselves to get the best out of themselves?
Start with the end in mind. Where do you want to be and what do you want as an end result? And then think about how you're going to get there. I think that's pretty simple.
Yeah. I think for all those people out there that are in a leadership role, I think for me in particular, this is what I struggled with the most at the start, was like that imposter syndrome, and like being able to tell others people what to do or delegate. You feel like a lot of the times that you don't have the authority or you don't have the right. Well, you're not going to if you keep that mindset. If you keep telling yourself that you can't and you shouldn't and someone else would be better, then eventually that's what's going to happen.
And think about also what comes first. Let's say it's a manager looking to climb up in a business, or they want the business to be a huge multi-million-dollar international business. Did that person fall into a role and then become the type of person that runs a big company, or did they become the type of person which then forced the company to grow? What came first?
That's the one. All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Have a fantastic day. Peace.